call this December 4th Planning Commission meeting to order. Thank you for joining us tonight on a cold night. We always like a nice audience, and we also like good comments from the public. The items being considered tonight will be considered by council on Monday the 8th, which is next Monday. So you come back and make your voices heard by council on Monday, depending on what happens here at the Planning Commission. We are recommending body, we recommend to council. Council makes the final decision. As Kathy mentioned, items A, which is the Wells Fargo. B, this is the Power Build Construction, North Main Street. C, McKinley Homes. And the last item, F, Empire Communities, have either been withdrawn or deferred and will not be considered tonight. First thing on the agenda are the minutes from the last meeting of November 6th, 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes, Chairman.
A second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries. Would you like to read the process?
Yes, sir. Thank you. The public hearing procedures. An individual requesting to be heard on a matter related to the purpose of the hearing must be recognized by the chair before addressing the board. Upon rising to speak, the speaker must identify themselves and furnish a home or business address before proceeding with any comments or remarks. The commission will allow the proponents a total of 10 minutes to speak in support of an application. Opponents will also be allowed 10 minutes to speak in opposition. Comments are accepted first by the applicant, followed by persons speaking in favor, and then from those in opposition. Upon conclusion of any opposing comments or presentation, the chair will allow the applicant to offer rebuttal if any time is remaining in the original allotted 10 minutes.
Thank you. I think that's clear. We try to afford equal time to the applicant and those in support. And if I extend the time for the applicant, I would have to do the same for those in opposition. First item to be considered tonight is Z25-15, Madewell, 204 Marietta Street. Ms. Kathy Cook will be presenting.
The first item is shown to you on the screen, and the submitted request, if approved, would allow for the subdivision of a 1.1 acre property into 2 for-sale single-family detached lots in the downtown. Density proposed is 1.7 dwelling units per acre. Applicant proposes a rezoning from OP to DTR. The property is located at 204 Marietta Street near the northeast corner of Marietta Street and Old Milton Parkway. Property is developed with a 2-story, 3,586 square foot structure that was previously used as a residence. And surrounding properties are zoned R8AD and CUP, as well as DTR and C2 to the east, and special use to the south, which of course is Wills Park, and the OP parcel, which is the daycare that's located to the west. This is the current configuration of the property with the one building that was used for residential, but also rezoned to allow the office development. Property is located within the downtown overlay. It has a comprehensive land use designation of mixed use, which supports the applicant's proposal. The site plan depicts the property being subdivided, and I'll put that here, into 2 lots. Both homes would have access and be oriented towards Marietta Street. Here's Old Milton Parkway. Again, that's the property to the west, which is the daycare, and Marietta Street. The eastern lot, Lot 1, is .567 acres, and the western lot, Lot 2, is .611 acres. Both lots are depicted with a 20-foot front setback along Marietta Street, and each home will have a minimum of 2 side-by-side parking spaces within a garage and a code-compliant driveway accommodating a minimum of 2 additional cars. Marietta Street is depicted with 6-foot planter, 6-foot sidewalk, so that's continuing what's been developed along Marietta Street. 10-foot landscape strip is depicted along Marietta Street and setback behind a 15-foot power line easement. And there's a 5-foot landscape strip that's depicted along the eastern property line, as well as there's an existing drainage easement along that property line, and they're showing a 10-foot landscape strip located along the west. They are including the required 20-foot buffer along Old Milton Parkway, and you can see there's a lot of existing trees that will be saved within that 20-foot. The DTR zoning district requires a minimum of 10% amenity space, which can be met in the yards, courtyards, and patios, and stormwater is proposed underground. You can see the rectangles here for each lot, the stormwater underground. They did provide a tree survey and arborist assessment, which identifies 8 specimen trees on the site. And the plan depicts, again, several trees being saved along Old Milton Parkway, which includes a specimen tree number 6, which is the 24-inch water oak. And then they also are saving red oaks ranging from 13-inch to 22-inch along Old Milton Parkway. And the specimen water oak and the red oaks are located in the 20-foot, and they were required to be saved when this came forward previously when it was zoned for an office building. I do have the elevations that they submitted, and we've, of course, sent that to our downtown architect to review. And they stated that, in general, the renderings meet the design requirements. So this is Lot 1. Lot 1 is French Eclectic, which is a style that's allowed within the downtown code. And then Lot 2 is a federal style, also allowed within the downtown code. We reviewed the applicant's request against the established review criteria for rezoning. Of course, the DTR would have allowed up to 8 units to the acre, so this is a very low density. We do believe that it fits in with the rest of the development along Marietta Street, and it's consistent with the downtown master plan and comprehensive land use plan. If approved, though, trees should be saved along Old Milton Parkway as condition, as well as the 2 specimen trees that we recommend to be saved. As part of the citizen participation plan, the applicant did submit a report which states that property owners within 500 feet were contacted regarding the applicant's intent. And the report states that a public comment was received at the community zoning information meeting with concerns over protecting the tree canopy. We are recommending approval with several conditions. Number 1, approximately 1.1 acres shall be rezoned to DTR, limiting it to the 2 single-family detached lots. 2, the architecture submitted, that should be the architecture approved for the property. 3, the density shall not exceed 1.7 dwelling units per acre. 4, homes shall have a minimum 30-foot front setback, building setback as depicted on the site plan prepared by On-Site Civil Group, dated 11/3/25. And I did notice that on that site plan, it's showing 20 feet. It actually spells out 20 feet, but if you look at the 20-foot, the 30 will work because the 20 is labeled actually in front of the underground detention. 5, garages on each lot shall not exceed a maximum storage capacity of 4 vehicles. 6 is the street improvement. 7, landscape strip requirements along Marietta Street. minimum 10-foot planted buffer along the east and west property lines of the 1.178 acre property planted with a mix of evergreen and trees, except that buffer plantings shall not be planted in the 20-foot drainage easement located here along the eastern property line. And developers shall make reasonable efforts to save existing trees within the buffers identified to be in good condition with final approval by staff. 9, minimum 20-foot landscape or natural buffer required along Old Milton. 10, also the required specimen tree saves of the 31-inch water oak and 24-inch water oak. 11, home, accessory structure, and infiltration shall be positioned on the property to have the least impact to save trees. 12 is the fence requirements, and 13, unfinished wood fences and decks shall not be visible from the street. And 14, HVAC and similar equipment shall not be visible from the public right-of-way. And that concludes staff presentation. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer those.
Thank you, Kathy. I have a couple. One, why is it necessary to have underground detention for a single family?
Why is it necessary for the detention?
Correct.
Because the city's code requires that if you have 5,000 square feet of impervious, you have to provide detention.
5,000, regardless as to whether there is a hydrology report to justify it?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Second is, I think it was condition number 5, garages on each lot, not to exceed 4 vehicles. So we have a limit as to how many cars you can, or size of the garage also?
We do, and that's mostly from what the applicant submitted from the architecture. And I do not think that the applicant had an issue with the limitation of the 4-car garage.
Okay. That's all for me.
I had a couple.
Go ahead.
So other than the rezoning request from OP office professional to DT downtown residential, is the applicant asking for any other variance on this?
No.
Okay. And so when you're talking about the canopy, are you talking about the canopy on Old Milton, or are you talking about the tree canopy in the 20-foot buffer? What?
So there was a comment at the community zoning meeting that someone was concerned about the canopy.
Right.
I don't know that they gave a specific location of where they were concerned. I think it was just a general comment. But when we looked at this compared to the last plan that was approved for the office development, we did want to make sure that we incorporated the same trees would be saved, which are along Old Milton Parkway, as well as that there's a specimen oak located here, as well as right here along the property line.
So just out of curiosity and for my own information, the applicant says he agrees to all this. And because these are pretty high-end homes, it's probably not unreasonable to think that they're going to want a pool. So what happens when they come back and request a pool? What happens to all these trees?
Well, they have to meet the conditions of zoning. If they cannot meet the conditions of zoning, the council would have to approve any changes. So if they have a condition requiring a tree save, if they're going to try to remove that, you can't get a permit for that from staff. It would have to be a public hearing where you would have to go back to council to ask the
They'd
condition.
have to ask council for approval to take
Yes.
those trees down. Okay. And then when you're building homes like this, and there's existing homes across the street, how do you determine where the driveway, who determines driveway placements on?
Yeah, we have our transportation engineer does. He looks at that to make sure that the sightline distance meets the requirements as part of that land disturbance permit requirement.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Thank you.
I had a quick, easy question. Given that both of these lots would then be very, very visible, the back of them from Old Milton, even with the tree canopy, what kind of allowances would be possible for installing privacy fencing, assuming that a buyer might then come along and want to consider that.
Yeah, it would have to be a decorative fence. They would have to put it on they couldn't put it on the Old Milton Parkway edge, so it would have to be on the 20-foot, setback 20 feet from that required buffer.
And given that, because I think I was aware of that rule, it's a pretty razor-thin space between the tree roots and needing to protect the tree roots and where that buffer ends, where you could put a fence. Do you see that as possibly being an issue?
I don't, because, the arborist would look at that to make sure that there weren't any issues. And looking at actually the condition, which is 9, minimum 20-foot landscape or natural buffer shall be required along Old Milton Parkway. So it's not an undisturbed buffer, so they actually could put the fence at the edge along Old Milton Parkway, as long as it was a decorative fence.
Okay, and alternatively, instead of a hardscape fence, would they have the option of doing any hedgerow planting,
It's
maybe
possible.
understory to
But-
the trees?
But sometimes even putting in shrubs, that can do a lot of damage also to the roots. So it would really be up to the arborist.
Okay, but they would be expected, the homeowner would be expected to apply before they did that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, we're going to ask the applicant to come forward and make a presentation.
I don't know if you need these. I'll just leave them up here if you do.
Hi there, Tori Young with Madewell, and 18 Cummings Street, Alpharetta is our address. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you, Kathy. Yeah, I don't know if you have any general questions for me. I will add one note. You'd asked about the swimming pools and the possibility of that. They're actually embedded in the courtyard areas, so they're already notated on there. I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of maybe you guys can see closer up with your screens, but it's both notated on both of the homes already.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant? Have you done check the depths of the storm sewers in this area?
Of the what?
Storm sewers. Storm sewers.
Have we inspected it yet? Is that what
Yeah.
you're-
Do you know how deep they are compared to
I'm not
the
certain.
invert of the detention facility?
Yeah, we haven't got that far yet. They typically will require us to do the soil test and things like that after approval. So we haven't received that information as far as those technicalities yet.
Okay. Thank you.
One thing that I did want to mention, it was unclear. First of all, I was not supposed to be here tonight. The gentleman that was taking care of this is under the weather, so I'm kind of jumping in. But one of the items was tree number 4. It sits, generally speaking, where Lot 2 is, towards the kind of the right hand. If you're at Marietta Street, it's towards the right hand side of that property, kind of towards the rear. That tree does create an issue as far as being able to effectively build what we had planned to for the client. And it will definitely get into the root systems. The house will get into the root systems of that structure. We're able to save the rest of the trees. It's the only one that's just kind of like, it's just going to be very difficult. And I've expressed to the client that there is an option for recompense. Typically, in those cases, they understand that. They understand that there's an expense associated with that, and have asked that I ask you guys to consider that as an alternative.
So that's the 31-inch water oak.
Yes.
Okay.
It's literally just right in the middle of all the action, for lack of a better term.
Okay.
It's on the screen. All right, I hear no
I'll
questions.
say just a couple other things. I mean, and we are working kind of against a number of things. You know, the 20-foot setback off of Milton Avenue, the side setback for the drainage easement, and then the power line easement up front. So we're kind of, you know, trying to shoehorn it in there and factor in all of those other pieces, and we've been able to, you know, successfully figure that out. That was the one kind of sticker for us.
Okay, thank you. All right, if there are no questions for the applicant, I'm going to open this for public comments. Thank you. Anyone in favor of this application, please come forward. You can take a seat. Seeing none, and in opposition? No one in favor, no one in opposition. You have anything else you'd like to say before I turn it over to the board?
I do have a question of the applicant. Can I ask him? Like on the comments that the consultant gave, I mean, I know this is kind of a rough drawing and, you know, did you have any exceptions to what the consultant said in his comments?
The one that really stood out to us was on lot number 2, and it's the parapets, and we ended up trimming those down like he suggested. So they're still there, but it's more in line with this style of architecture. So we've profiled those a little with less, you know, grandeur.
But you didn't have any issue with his comments? No, generally?
Not really. I mean,
Okay.
it felt more of a narrative than it was a directive.
Right.
But, I mean, it all kind of lined up with what we were going for.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You bet.
I have a question for Kathy with respect to the tree number 4. Was this brought to your attention, and if it was, what would be your recommendation regarding saving it or trying to save it?
Yeah, so this is the first I've heard that 4 could not be incorporated. So I think probably it would be good to provide prior to council, you know, to show the canopy of where the canopy is in comparison with the footprint of the home. I think that would be something that would be helpful for us to look at. I would also advise that if the applicant cannot save that, to consider offering, you know, that a 4-inch caliper trees be installed along the frontage. Those are types of things that can offset and also increase the time it would take to provide a canopy. So maybe there's larger trees that could be planted along the front. Some of those things are something that they could look at, requiring that those trees are 4-inch caliber or even 6-inch caliber.
Okay.
So Kathy, are you suggesting then we leave it as is and then have them?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so,
We are willing to do those types of alternatives.
okay, perfect.
Or condition it in such a manner that, you know, the applicant would work with staff
Yes.
to come up with a recompense, or some of the methods, try to save it.
And you could, with 10, you could change that if you wanted to say developer shall save number 6, 24-inch water oak, and then just add to the end, developer shall work with staff to provide an alternative if tree 4 cannot be saved.
I think that would be my recommendation to the board. I don't like passing things on to council without recommendation. That's our job.
Yeah, so I think that would resolve that.
Yes.
Hey Kathy, these are some pretty big homes going in, and if I remember correctly, we approved, I'm not sure what the status of the final approval with the city council, but 2 doors down, there was an office, a home office building, you know, where somebody would have an office on the bottom and then live in the top floor, 2 or 3 doors up.
And
Did that go through?
no, but that is actually where then the house came forward. I think that's the Wexler's home.
Mm-hmm.
It became where it was a home that was built versus the
Oh, okay.
residential.
All right, thank you.
All right, any other questions, further discussions, and/or a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve Z-25-16 Madewell/204 Marietta Street, subject to the following conditions per staff, and with the change on number 10, developers shall save trees. Number 6, and is that the only one? And then developers shall work with staff on tree 4.
I'll
Is that-
second.
Okay.
If it cannot be saved.
If it cannot be saved.
Is the motion clear to everybody? If you can read that again.
The developer shall save tree number 6, and the developer shall work with staff on tree number 4 if it cannot be saved. Is that good? Kathy?
We'll work with staff for an alternative.
For an
if tree number
alternative
4
on-
cannot be saved.
yeah, on tree
Something to
number
that
4.
effect.
Is that good?
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries. To go before council on Monday, that's as fast as I've seen them go to council. All right. Next item on the agenda is Z-25-17, Sharma/12975 Cogburn Road. Ms. Cook will present it.
Thank you. The next item, the area is shown to you hatched on the screen. And the request, if approved, would allow for subdivision of a 1.35 acre property into 2 for-sale single-family detached lots. Density is 1.48 dwelling units per acre. A rezoning is requested from AG to R15. Property is located at 12975 Cogburn Road near the southwest corner of Cogburn Road and Windward Parkway. And property is developed with 1 single-family detached home. Cogburn Walk is located to the south. Windward Professional Pavilion is located to the east. And an unplatted residential lot is located just to the north. And then to the south, we have Cogburn Walk. The plan depicts, I'll put that up here real quick, 2 lots on the 1.35 acre property, 2 lots. Lot 1 is 0.68 acres with 104 feet of frontage, and Lot 2 is 0.67 acres with 121 feet of frontage. Homes are both, of course, oriented towards Cogburn Road, with each lot having its own driveway access. 10-foot landscape strip is required along Cogburn Road. They'll have a 5-foot landscape strip required around the perimeter of the property. The applicant did submit a tree report which identified 6 specimen trees on the property. Most of those were poplars. And the report also identifies several landscape trees and boundary trees and a 10-foot landscape strip along the southern property line. So when this subdivision was rezoned, there was actually a buffer that was required, but it was planted off-site. Sometimes that happens where they plant the buffer, some of the buffer on the new subdivision, then some of it. The neighbor at that time, Mr. Molinax, had asked that some of the planting be on this property. So although there's a condition, the condition was for off-site planting. So the condition doesn't really run with this property, but you'll see that we did recommend, if it's approved, that they continue to maintain that buffer. The applicant did provide examples of the rendering. Of course, this is not in the downtown, so there's not a requirement that it meet one of the historic styles. So this is more of a modern farmhouse style that is board and batten, stone, as well as brick. The applicant also attended the community zoning information meeting. There was no public comments at that time. They also notified everybody within 500 feet, and the report states that they did not receive any comments. We reviewed the applicant's proposal against the review criteria for rezoning. Proposal is supported by the future land use designation of the property, which is low-density residential, and the requested rezoning is appropriate as it relates to the use and development of adjacent and nearby properties, which are similar. We are recommending approval with 9 conditions. 1, that the site shall be developed as shown. 2, home elevation style, exterior materials, and details shall be substantially similar to the submitted renderings, with final approval by staff. Home elevations along Cogburn Road shall appear as 2 distinct designs, and homes shall have 3-sided front and side architecture, materials, and details as approved by staff. 3, homes shall be side-loaded, and each lot shall be permitted a driveway on Cogburn Road. 4, the required improvements along Cogburn Road streetscape. 5, minimum 10-foot decorative landscape strip shall be provided along Cogburn Road, consisting of a mix of trees and shrubs. And 6, developer shall plant a mix of evergreen and deciduous trees in the 5-foot landscape strips along the north and east property lines. 7, developer shall make reasonable effort to save tree number 6 and 9 through 13 with final approval by staff. And developer shall make reasonable efforts to save landscape trees and boundary trees within the 10-foot landscape strip adjacent to Cogburn Walk and here, as well as good condition trees in the tree grouping in the north corner of the property. Final approval by staff. And unfinished wood fences and decks shall not be visible from Cogburn Road. And I think I have, you can see on the, I think you can see that, but you can see with this aerial where most of those trees are located and the area along the front. And that concludes staff presentation. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer those for you.
I have a suggestion for future presentations. Maybe you can put the conditions on the screen for the audience to see
That's
as
a good
you read
suggestion.
them, and we'll see how that looks on the screen. I don't have any questions, only that suggestion. Any questions for?
The only question, Kathy, I had was there was a line of sight for lots 1 and 2, but I didn't really understand the graph. I was going to ask George, but he's not here. What do you know if there was an issue with the line of sight on either one of those?
No, he did not have an issue with the line of sight. He had an issue with the previous case, which they had to come back and revise their sight line, but not on this particular application.
Okay, perfect.
And they'll also require that again as part of the land disturbance permit once the homes are finalized on how they're laid out on the property, so they'll have to submit that also.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Kathy, just to confirm, these are pretty flat lots, and given that the square footage inconsistent with the last application, there would be no detention requirement on these?
So if they have 5,000 square feet or more, then they would have to provide detention.
So what we're saying, we're confirming here that these, because of that, would have no detention requirement, plus being a very flat lot, don't see any runoff concerns.
If they have their final site plan and it's 5,000 square feet of impervious added, and that includes the driveway,
Okay.
they would have to provide detention.
Okay, so at this point, we have no idea.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? No other questions. I'm going to ask the applicant to come forward and make a presentation.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening. My name is Sid Sharma, and residing at 12975 Cogburn Road. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak today. As Kathy mentioned, we're requesting to rezone this property to R15 because we intend to build 2 single-family home, our forever home in city of Alpharetta. It's a meaningful step for us to go in this direction. I work in city of Alpharetta, and we want to live in city of Alpharetta, and this will be a great way for us to be part of the Alpharetta community. Coming to the details, these are low density. We are approaching it from a low density angle, so it will allow us to be within the limit what R15 allows. Definitely, we are agreeing with all the conditions that city stated, and as per the staff comments that was provided. Also, we are totally on board with preserving the trees as recommended by the city, and we will recompense any as required. So really excited for this next step to make this our home and contribute positively to the neighborhood. But if there are any questions, we are happy to answer those.
Thank you. Are these your homes, your residence?
Yes,
Not to sell, so this we're going to live.
for our personal
the
primary
personal,
residence.
Good. Okay. Any questions?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. I read your letter of intent. I don't know which one wrote the letter. But as I read it, I was like, it kind of touched me in thinking that, thank you for all the nice things you said about our city. And it made me rethink how proud we are for the work we all do up here. So thank you for your kind comments in your letter. We appreciate it.
And we agree with that.
Yeah, I wanted to second that, what Commissioner Reynolds said. I too really enjoyed your letter of intent, and usually they're written by a lawyer and they're very unemotional, but yours was very meaningful and well done, and thank you for that.
And that was the intention, basically, because we could have got an attorney, but we wanted to go through the process ourselves and then understand what are the requirements, go through it, learn it, and actually meet you guys, right? Rather than hiring an attorney, coming here, and then being robotic. We wanted to see you guys, explain everything ourselves, and answer any questions or concerns you might have about the project.
And thank you for that. And following on that, would you have any feedback for us? How's the process been to work through?
It's very easy to understand. All the documents were available. One thing, I know Michael's not here from the city. He's been very helpful through the process, given that we had no idea from where to start, what to do. So he guided us to go to the exact page to get the articles that we want, the PDFs, the concerns. He was even available for a meeting to understand what the requirements are and what should we submit, and if there's any paperwork that's pending, right? Yeah. So every step of the way, I would appreciate how the city has been in this process, given us, we had no idea where to start, where to begin. Yeah. So we're happy that Michael and the city was able to work with us to understand the process and submit the documents. Yeah.
That is great to hear. Thank you for that kind of feedback.
Yeah. Thank you.
Excellent. If there are no other questions, I'm going to open this for public comment. Thank you. You can sit down. Anyone in favor, please come forward. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Jason Davis. I'm here with Davis Engineering and Surveying, and my address is 24 Dawson Village Way, Dawsonville, Georgia. And I really don't have a lot to add. I just wanted to make sure that you knew that I was here so that I could answer any questions regarding the site plan. A couple things that probably didn't get pointed out. The first is the sewer connection is in the rear yard of these lots. And I believe you can see that maybe on your version on the screen. And so I think there may be a tree or two in that path. We're going to try to obviously save the trees. And the question about stormwater, unlike the other lots, there is available area for us to treat stormwater on site, so that will be handled in the rear yard as well. So if there's anything else, I'll be happy to answer those questions.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else in favor? Anyone in? Come forward, please.
Hello, I'm Scott Kreider. I live at 12985 Cogburn Road, so it's the property directly north of there. So yeah, I'm in favor of it. I've talked to them, and matter of fact, just said, welcome to the neighborhood, and I think you'll enjoy being in Alpharetta.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Anyone else? Please come forward.
My name is Alex Tiritu with Kingdom Builders. Address is 1813 Southern Drive, Houston, Georgia. We're all the way in Barrow County, almost an hour away. We're happy to be working with the clients, and I'm excited to see the style of the home. I know one of the neighbors had a concern about the modern farmhouse and it diminishing their value. I don't know if they're here tonight, but we just wanted to specify that the value of the home is going to be way up there. They're touring various spots in Alpharetta to get ideas for design, and I think the city will be very happy with the structure that they put up there.
Thank you so much. And people can watch this online, so there may be people watching. They can hear what you just said.
I didn't hear that last part.
I said thank you. There are people who might be watching it online, and they would hear what you just said. Anyone else in favor? Anyone in opposition? Not? Please come forward.
Hi, my name is Carla Shaw, and I live at 2610 Trawick Chase. And the concern and the comment I wanted to make was not so much in opposition to building homes, but, and this is a concern I've brought before to council and to commissions, is just the tree preservation and what seems to be the canopy that is very quickly shrinking. I hope that they save trees, but my main concern is that they do save as many trees as they can. Right now, there's a large stand of trees on the property in the middle that they showed, and there's also the line of trees that runs between their property and the Cogburn Walk neighborhood next door. And so my concern is, it just seems that we do have a shrinking canopy in Alpharetta, and that's the thing that makes Alpharetta the place that we all love. And I don't want to see more of the kind of disappearing canopies such as what we've seen along Canton Street, which used to be a very lovely tree-lined street, and now it's not. So that's really my concern, and that if they must do something, that they at least replant with similar trees, and not taking down large oak trees and replanting crepe myrtles. I've seen way too much of that happening, and I would really like to request that the replantings be the specimen trees and be the similar trees to what they have to take down, and that they please try to maintain the lovely treed and wooded feel that we have in that area, that those of us who've lived there for a long time really love and really cherish, and that it not become just open properties with no trees and changes the way the streetscape looks. So that's my concern. I've brought a lot of tree issues before the council over the past years. I've spoken with the arborist about these issues, and I will continue to come forward because I've lived in Alpharetta for a long time too, and I love it, and I love the trees, and I love the beauty and the nature, and that's what keeps me here, and I really want to keep it.
We appreciate and agree with all your comments. And our staff is very diligent in making sure we preserve the natural environment, and trees are a major component of that.
Absolutely, it's what makes Alpharetta.
And that is important, to keep our air fresh and our city looking as beautiful as it does. So thank you for that comment.
All right, thank you.
All right. You like to add to that? All right. Nice to see you, and welcome to the
Thank you.
meeting.
Thank you for having me. My name is Daniel Shaw. I live at 2610 Trawick Chase, Alpharetta, Georgia. We've been here 30 years. We love it too. My big concern, and I've heard this like 3 times already, is stormwater. I did not see a stormwater report. I don't know if that'll be done before they choose the houses and the sizes and stuff. But it is a flat piece of land. There is a swale that runs right next to Cogburn Walk, and it seems like the footprint of the house that they had up there sits right in the middle of that. So that would be my only concern. I'm not really opposed. I had to choose a side, and that's just sad that you have to choose a side. I love the development that's going on down on our street, and I agree with my wife about the trees, but I'm really more concerned about the stormwater.
And that's a good concern. And by the way, Danny and I have known each other for a long time, so I can give him a hard time. But that should be addressed during the LDP process.
Right,
And as
exactly.
you know, we have a lot of faith and trust in our staff to make sure that they uphold every developer to the city code and
All right,
standard.
trusting you on that.
And we appreciate, those types of comments to hold the city to the fire.
All right. Well, I
So
think
thank you for your comment. I haven't met your wife, and nice to meet you, finally. I may have seen you, I did not know that that's your wife.
I am glad you agree with your wife, because since you have to go home with her tonight, it's kind of important.
Yeah, he better.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good man, very hardworking. All right. Anyone else in opposition? Wants to make a comment? I see none. Do you have anything else you'd like to add before I turn this over to the board?
Just gonna have engineering talk about.
Absolutely.
stormwater. Thank you.
So just, Jason Davis again, from Davis Engineering. Just want to address a couple of, I think, the concerns. I believe we can assuage any issue that was mentioned there about trees. I know the majority of our specimen trees, according to the report, were poplar trees. And whether you're a tree person or not, they're big trees. They are, on this site, they're the biggest trees that we have. And they have extensive root systems. I think we would intend to save them if at all possible. And I believe there is no intention of removing them, especially not to plant an ornamental, which I believe is the general concern. So that was the main thing. Regarding stormwater, we have not gotten into the stormwater situation for these lots as of yet, but I assure you we'll meet the ordinances for stormwater on this site. And I'm from Dahlonega, so I appreciate a little bit of a flat lot to deal with some of this stuff. So, and then the swale we mentioned, I believe we're not going to get into that area at all to try to save those trees that were planted in the previous development. So that's all.
Okay. I know the homeowners, they would like to have as many trees as possible on this property also. All right, I'll turn this over to the board for discussion and our motion.
Mr. Chairman, I did actually have one more question for Kathy. On the stormwater, that is a redundant theme here, and this is coming up, it looks like next week to the city council. Will that be addressed before that and have some kind of plan
No.
for the storms? No?
No, we always get the hydrology report and the stormwater plan as part of the land disturbance permit. That's not something we review prior to the rezoning or request at public hearing, but that is a process that our stormwater engineer works with someone after they've gone through this process, because you could have different conditions, you could have changes to a site plan, so that's not something that they go through prior to the public hearings, but it is something that is very much detailed before they're issued a permit.
All right. Stay with the board for comments or discussion or motion.
Just a comment, again, to echo previous sentiments. Thank you for your faith in the city of Alpharetta, for your desire to build here and be family here and build 2 lovely homes here. And with that, I'll make a motion to approve Z-25-17 Sharma/12975 Cogburn Road, subject to all the conditions as stipulated by staff.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries, goes before council on Monday. Anything else the board would like to discuss? Hearing none, the meeting has been adjourned. Have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and enjoy the holiday season.
Thank you, guys.